There, it says I'm live. Now I need to figure out why it's monitoring on that. Okay, there's the loop gone. Okay, so we're back. So you guys can dial back into the stream now. Sorry about that hiccup. Let me know. Is Discord dead?
Nah, we're still here.
Sweet.
All right.
Trying to start.
Okay. Let me know when it's operational, I guess.
Yeah, I'm seeing the Trello board again.
That was weird. I think Streamlabs had a memory panic and just died in a fire.
We are back.
We are back. All right. So, just to tie this to the earlier start, since this is technically a new stream, tonight we're talking about proper prior planning and how I get about when I'm doing my my day and I get all the weird little projects done in a single period of time. And the audio is broken again. I need Zozo, give me a mic check in Discord.
Test 854.
Yep. Okay, we're back again. When Streamlabs died, it lost my settings for the Discord audio insert. So, anyways, so we're looking at Trello because Trello's the list of lists that I use in order to keep all the things that I'm doing organized. And this particular Trello board is about my sailboat because this is Tipsy Raven Sailing. So we're looking at the single sideband ham radio list. First thing in the list is a list. The first thing in the list is another list. And this list is all the links that I've used to build my research out for this. A couple actionables that I want to do. I want to get my licenses for the general ham operator, the U.S. Coast Guard license, and radio telephone licensing. Because those things all combined allow me to do things like send emails over ham band frequencies. Or more importantly, receive emails and receive weather data and, you know, transfer non-business oriented data, which is really important because when you transmit it, it's in plain text where anybody can get their fingers on it. So then I bought a radio for the boat. It's the FT891 Yaesu. So I have a card specifically about that radio in my list here. And with that, I have the PDF manual, so I can always find the manual for this guy. Then I have a USB interface. This allows me to connect my laptop to my radio and control the radio from my laptop, and vice versa. So I can get weather facts and all kinds of information across this interface. And this is an interface that I had to create myself. I bought the parts, I soldered them together, and it works great. And then a card about the automatic tuner because your ham radios need a tuner solution in order to work with the random length of antenna wire that you end up using definitely on a sailboat. The next list over is the initiation list. All the links that were related about Tiamo, like when I found her, and all the research I did in order to determine if Tiamo was the boat I wanted. And so I actually found the previous owner working on the boat on like YouTube. And so there's links to the blogs and the YouTubes and Google Docs and various text of the last 3 times it's sold. Not just the time I bought it, but the times before that. So I have a functional history of the boat and how it was advertised. And that's just this one card, right? Then there's another one that talks about this, all the numbers I found on the boat, the hull number, the sticker number, the documentation number. Location is just a simple satellite image where the boat's located. Social groups. These are the various groups that I found of people who own boats like this one, and they talk about them, and they keep engaged. Some more social groups. For whatever reason, I have 2 cards. I should probably condense that down to 1. Sometimes I forget to do little things like that. And then I got 14 YouTube videos of other people that own Formosas, so that I have reference material for how other people have solved the various things they're doing with their Formosas. And that's really handy because some of these guys have ideas that are very relevant to the things that I want to try to accomplish with mine. And so I use these as inspiration, or I use these as means with which to sanity check the ideas I have for my own. A list about rigging details. This list is a lot of fun. This list uses a slightly different approach. This is original sales documents, and I managed to find imagery of my sailboat. This would have been the brochure that my sailboat would have come with for somebody to buy it. And what's really neat about this is it includes dimensions that I wouldn't normally have. And then a couple more pages of that. And then there's a couple pages on the different variants. So the standard type for Formosa 41. So this is a really clean image, side image of my boat. This is a really clean top image of my boat. But oh, I'm sorry. No, this is exactly my boat. Yes, this is exactly how my boat is laid out, except for the forecastle. So you have the main gangway right here, and then you have a table with 2 benches that can be turned into a bed, and across from that you have the stove and sink. Take a step down into the salon, and you have a double berth, like opposing couches. And then one side you have the water closet, the head, and shower, and the other side you have a double berth, the captain's quarters, and then all the way forward you have a single berth for the like a crewmate or something. My boat, I plan on turning the single berth forecastle, which is the sailing shorthand way of saying forecastle. I plan on turning that into a little
office,
man cave office workshop thingy. So, these images are really, really handy to be able to look at, sketches of the boat and determine how I might change it. Now, there was other boats like the pilot type where the steering wheel is actually inside the housing. This is a really beautiful build. You got like a windshield. It's physically enclosed, extra large cockpit area outside. You got a wheel inside, you got a wheel outside, so you have less room inside the boat for living in the boat, but you get like a little living area that's really nice. Hard to find that style of a boat. And then you have the center cockpit variant, where you have a cabin in the back, and you have windows looking out the back, and then you have, cabins and stuff towards the front, but everything's been moved around and aggressively relocated in order to have a center cockpit. So a lot of really interesting ways these boats were variously made, and I took the time to...
Why would you do that?
Huh? Sorry, say it again?
Why would you have a center cockpit instead of whatever you have? Is there any advantage?
Yeah.
Or is it just a different layout?
It's a different layout. The center cockpit allows for an isolated rear cabin, which is really nice because you can put a large bed in there and it's super isolated. So you have your owners in the back and then you have the people hanging out in the front. It allows, and in that way, it allows for like a family, right? But those are hard to find.
Okay.
Those are really rare. Tom Drury, I see your comment in YouTube. My solar is in fact set up and it does maintain my boat. The refrigerator is not covered under the solar, so if I disconnect from shore power, I have a electrical deficit of about 2 amp hour, and so with the batteries I have, my boat will run approximately 7 days away from the dock before its batteries are too low to maintain the boat's operation. If I didn't have my solar,
you can recharge with the engine, though, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah,
okay.
That's exactly right. And a couple hours of running with the engine, and all the batteries are topped back off again, and on you go. So, because I have those we're in our diagrams and drawings list, right? And so what I've done is I've taken CAD software and I've taken the original brochure documents and I've created 1-to-1 where each digit is an inch. And I have created extremely detailed CAD drawings of my boat. And so by doing this...
I was wondering if you were going to have that at some point.
Mm-hmm. So there's the dimensions CAD. Here's a document that simply draws arrows to where I know that I have through holes, i.e. holes in the bottom of my boat, that if there was nothing in the hole, the water would come in. So this is where all the through holes are in my boat below the water line. There are more through holes than this, but these are the ones below the water line.
Okay.
I have a drawing that shows where the routing is for the propane system. So I have a little propane system on the rail for a little grill. But I have a major propane system that has a tank, of solenoid valve. The red line is actual gas line. The blue line represents control lines. So we have a switch on the panel. We have the LP controller. We have an hydrocarbon sensor. So the controller will turn off the gas if it detects a leak. And then the solenoid. The controller turns on and off the gas so that you can leave the tank on, but the solenoid is off unless you need it. So you walk up to the stove, you push the go button on the controller, you click the stove on, and you're off to the races. This is considered a safe way of having gas on the boat so you don't blow yourself up. What else do we got? We got a freshwater CAD that's kind of fun to look at. So in my boat, I have two freshwater tanks. They're on either side underneath the couches in the salon, the settees in the salon. So there's a tank selector between the two of them. Tank selector is usually set to both so the boat stays balanced. Those go back to a main water pump. Now, I got to update this CAD drawing because I moved this water pump right next to the main selector. So I got to move that guy. So anything in light blue is unpressurized. Anything in dark blue is pressurized cold. And anything in red is pressurized hot. And so we have this primary trunk going down the boat. We have the blue going to the cockpit shower, the water heater, the galley sink, the head sink, and the head shower. I also have to update this document because I've installed a bidet on the head. My boat is that kind of boat. I have a bidet. And then the... Bidet? I've been watching that
Bidet
series
to you
again.
too?
I love Grog. He's my favorite.
Can you manually adjust where the water goes for trim, like if you're overpowered?
Yes, actually I can. There's a device not shown on this where I could select the tank, and there's a true directional pump where I can push water from one tank to the other in order to balance the boat on heel. That's not drawn on this particular diagram, but it is an option there. Was that question from Zostrol? I'm sorry, I didn't...
Yeah, that's me. I'm Tom.
Hi, Tom. Welcome to the Discord, bud. I haven't heard you talk on my channel before, so I wasn't 100% sure. So,
Welcome.
So the whole point of tonight's stream is about planning the dream, right? It's sitting down and coming up with the lists that make everything happen. And I personally use Trello for this. It's a free resource on the internet. I've never had a problem accessing it. It's always been available to me. It has uptime that is more than sufficient for my personal project needs. There's other tools out there.
OneNote.
There's OneNote. There's Keep Note on the phone. I use Keep Note on my phone all the freaking time. I will not go to the grocery store without a list because that is a good way for my fat butt to buy way too much groceries. There's other stuff in here that's really handy. So I have lists of lists. And in this case, I have a through-hole list. So I have a drawing of it, but now I'm actually going to look at every single through-hole and come up with a plan. So the first item in my list is the legend. Red, replace. Blue, fiberglass, closed. And green is fine. It's fine the way it is. So all of these through-holes need to be replaced on my boat. They're at risk. Yeah, they represent a clear and present danger to my vessel's stability. So I have to haul out my boat in order to take care of that. The blue ones, I'm gonna take out the through hole and just glass it shut. I don't want the hole at all. And the bilge drains, the shower drain, and the engine exhaust are in great shape. So my list doesn't just show me the things I have to do, it shows me the things that are relevant to the things I'm doing, but also that I probably don't need to mess with.
Yeah, I really like the color codes.
Yeah,
That's one thing OneNote does not have.
Yeah, I color code as much as I can.
But this would also be great for running a campaign.
Yes, I have used Trello to organize. Like, I have a Trello board for locations, a Trello board for NPCs, a Trello board for monsters, a Trello board for treasure, who owns it, who found it, did they find it, all kinds of stuff. I have a Trello board for puzzles and traps. I don't DM anymore, but it's somewhere in there. Sorry, taking a drink. The next list is kind of interesting. It's the major expenses for outfitting. I want to add a water maker, an underwater drone. I got to haul her out. I got to do Bimini, Dodger, and sail packs. I want to get new sails for her. I want to get a scuba compressor so I can fill my own dive tanks, get in the water. I want to get my new scuba gear. I have scuba gear, but it's crap. And then I want to get binaural microphones for my ASMR content that I want to create. I got a list of things that I got to do before I can be liveaboard on the boat. And then another list of things that I got to do in order to get rid of the apartment that I'm currently living in.
Now, question.
What up?
Can you make a list in one, but have it show up in two of these categories?
You can copy it or you can move it. You see those options right there? So I can actually move this list not only on this board, but I can move it to another board I own. And these are all the boards I own. So if like the major expenses outfitting, when it comes time to action one of these things, I'm going to take the water maker and I'm going to move it to the Tipsy Raven sailing board for action items. Right? It's no longer just a thing that needs to happen. It's a thing that's happening. Therefore, it's going to be on the happening lists. Right? So that way I can keep not only what I'm currently working on and what I'm working on next, but also what I should work on and the things I want to work on and the things that I probably should work on eventually, right? There's lists for all that. Can you
make links between them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
It's super elegant. Like if you create a link in Facebook to one of your own graphics, it doesn't just give you a link; it actually puts the graphic in. Trello does the same kind of mojo, right?
Cool.
I don't utilize that for my build, but I do know that it does that, and it does that very well.
Are you getting
go ahead.
Just an emergency water maker or like a big one?
Well, yeah. So let's take a look at it. Right, I have designed a complete DIY water maker. And this particular list shows the individual components and how much they cost, but if you open it up, it shows you where to go buy the part. And the idea behind the water maker that I designed is everything is available either on Amazon or on Grainger, and a couple pieces, you just can't buy them anywhere but a water maker supply, like the actual osmotic filters. You have to buy those from some sort of supply company. But yeah, if I wanted to get another 1200 PSI gauge, apparently the one I could find was on McMaster, right? So, and the idea here is that I want to create my own water maker. So this particular links card shows the various things that I use to inspire my design. It's not my design. My design's on another document that hasn't been shared to my Trello yet because I'm not ready to execute on it. But the water maker I want to make, I've priced it at about $4,000. It can make 40 liters of water an hour in, standard salt water level water, right? If you're in a really salty place, it's going to go slower. If you're somewhere where the water's super clean, like Alaska, it's going to go faster. And more importantly, it has all kinds of extra features like UV filtering for biological. It has remineralization to replace the minerals that osmotic filtering takes out of the water. It has a pickling circuit. It has an automatic self-rinsing circuit. It has a bunch of stuff, and that's why it comes out to about $4,000. It is the best water maker I could design based on research of other water makers until I came up with a conclusion. And the water maker process, when I have $4,000 sitting aside, will be a probably pretty sizable YouTube series here on Tipsy Raven Sailing.
How much is it saving you compared to a commercial one?
I can't actually find a commercial one that has both UV filtering and remineralization. I would anticipate that it would be a savings of $2,000 to $3,000 with all those extra features and the way that I've built it. But more importantly, I am not beholden on that company because all my parts are sourced from Granger, McMaster, Amazon, and the osmotic filters are the super standard 4x40 osmotic canisters. It's really, really common. Like everybody uses them. And the idea being that if somebody goes out of business, I'm not fucked.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And that peace of mind, what dollar amount do you want to put on peace of mind, right?
So and you're basically building it as much as you can out of commodity parts.
Yep, precisely. That was the theory behind it. And then making the solution available to other people so that they themselves are self-reliant, right? So, although I've been told multiple times that the amount of engineering I've put into the parts finding, and granted, Steve, you've helped me find a couple of those parts. There's value in that, and a lot of people have told me that I should package it and sell it as a kit and so forth and so on. We'll see. I'm not here to get rich. I just want to have enough money to get around the world at least once.
Yeah, that depends if you want to share a design or support a design.
Do what? Two questions at once.
Steve,
I was going to say that depends if you want to share a design or actually support the design.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is if I'm out on the open water, that's one thing. Now, granted, the control panel and stuff like that, maybe I'll make control panel kits or something along those lines and make, a trickle income off of that kind of stuff.
I was saying if you needed someone to do shipping.
Well, yeah, and that's another big part of all this is I want to start doing merchandise for the brand.
Support since you're going to be on water.
I'm going to be elsewhere. I'm not going to be, it's not going to be very easy for me to do stuff like that.
I'm around for you.
I appreciate you, man. Here's a list of all the things that the survey observed as being potential issues. So this particular card, I've done that. I have a list specifically just for this one card, in fact. There's a little bit of wood deterioration. Port forward on the starboard cabin. I know exactly where it's at. It's not in the spot that people usually put their feet, so I'm not too entirely worried about it, but it's still something on the list that needs to get done eventually. And a number of other things.
Maybe you should take a picture and add it as well.
Well, that's the funny thing about the wood deterioration. It's under the fiberglass, so you actually can't see it. It'd just be a white picture because the fiberglass is white.
Okay.
But I do actually take... I do associate pictures as best as I can every place that I can. A bunch of videos that I want to render for YouTube. Nah, you're good, man. Your comments are appreciated. I wouldn't be live in Discord if I didn't want to hear them. My current sail complement. And again, green means good. Yellow means okay. Red means got to replace it, right? And so here's all my sails that I currently have. There's a couple of sails I don't even know what they do. Like, the boat's not rigged for them. I don't know what the hell to think about it. It is what it is. A couple of... a list about my winches and service mechanisms for the winches, but here's the list of different things that I have on the boat when it comes to winches. A list of notes. I always make... I'm from the Midwest, okay? I got people watching this channel from all over. In the Midwest, it's really common to have a drawer in your house, and in that drawer is the fucking everything that doesn't go anywhere else stuff. And my notes list, anytime you come across a Trello board, is exactly that. There's information about insurance here. There's information about lighting, wiring details found on notes. So I found some old notes on the boat, like hand scratch paper, and they had IDs and what they were for. And so I wrote the notes down just so I had them somewhere because I lost a piece of paper. I always lose paper. I can't lose the internet. I might lose access to it because I dropped my phone in the ocean, but I can't lose what's on the internet already. Once it's on the
It's the
internet,
catch-all for 'em.
yeah, it's the catch-all bucket. Some information about my Suzuki, the outboard for my dinghy, a link to somebody's blog who owns one of these boats, some bronze port lights that I thought were kind of neat that I might get, some stuff about scuba, some stuff about canvas, not the sails, but like, the tenting material to keep the sun off you. So that's my catch-all bucket. And then I have another one that's really old documentation stuff. And it's documents I found on the boat that I don't actually think are relevant anymore because the parts that they represent have long since been replaced by something else. But because it was information, I'm not losing it just in case I ever need to reference it. That's why it's here at the very tail end of my lists. And then, of course...
Gotta keep it all.
Yeah, you keep every reference material. Losing data and then needing it is the worst feeling. And then I got a list about stuff that I want to put on the boat specifically for entertainment. What movies, what books, what music, and how I'm going to store it and how that's going to work.
Starlink.
That's Starlink, yeah. Starlink's going to render some of this stuff irrelevant.
Starlink can flex, man.
But when I have lists of lists, I have lists of lists of lists. This is just but one board of my program. This is Tiamo action items. These are the things I'm working on. So the next stuff that I'm fixing on the boat, I'm fixing the engine timing seal cover leak. I'm doing an oil change. I'm installing latches on my 4-peak hatch, and I'm painting the rest of the cockpit hold and bilge. This is actually partially done. I've made progress on this, and that's why these lists exist, because this is halfway done. So I'm making progress. I can feel good about it. I have people who visit my boat. I tell them, "Hey, go open that hatch," and they open it. It's nice and clean and white inside there. Well, progress is progress. It's worth rewarding yourself. But you can't experience the sense of accomplishment if you don't make it so you have a milestone to make that appreciation for yourself, right? So these lists give you that opportunity. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than coming to this thing, right-clicking this bad bitch and clicking archive because it's done. Man, that feels good every time I get to do that. Top tech projects that are pending. I want to verify the alternator is wired correctly. I don't think it is, but it might be, but I don't think it is. I got a new battery isolator that's super fancy. I want to further configure the N2K to use some of the neat new stuff I got. I got a new autopilot and a new engine control module that I want to install that upgrade both of those devices. The precision compass and the rudder indicator, those are tertiary to the other two devices. I want to install lights in the cockpit stowage area in the engine compartment and the electrical closet. And I want to fix the grounds on the gauges so they stop flickering. They're really old style gauges and they have a really crappy ground system on them. And I don't know how I'm going to fix it yet. I'm probably just going to have to solder a wire to it and like make a physical connection that can't be broke, because right now you're motoring at night and all the gauges turn off and you're like, oh shit. Yeah, everything's running just fine, but you don't know that, right?
It's a little problematic.
Yeah, it's little tiny things, and that's why they're pending projects. It's little details that I can tinker on when I have nothing better to do. I have a lot of projects that are tinkering projects. Next projects, I want to finish painting the bilge and the forecastle. I want to fix the floor and the forecastle. The packing gland around the drive shaft leaks just a little more than I would like, so I want to fix that. And while I'm fixing that packing gland, I might as well fix the rudder one. And tighten the macerator. We'll leave that at that. I got a couple wood pieces that have fallen down here and there because they were only ever glued up and not actually nailed or properly adhered to the thing. And then I have a card here that's kind of fun. Ask my dad to make a brass depth sounder. My dad owns a machine shop, and so I have a brass depth sounder that I think is super neat, but they want $200 for a brass slug. It's just a brass slug, right? Yeah, they want $200 for this stupid thing. So it's 200 feet of really cheap 6mm rope and a brass slug that's got a hole in one side for the rope and then a hole in the tip on the other side. And the reason they did this is so that you can put wheel bearing grease in this hole. And when you throw the sounder over the side and it goes into the ground, this end first right here, whatever it hits gets stuck in the grease. So when you pull it back up, if you're in gravel or if you're in sand or whatever, right? Because it's stuck to the end of the sounder. So this would be stupid easy for my dad to make me in his little machine shop, and it would not cost him $200 to do it.
Yeah.
So, silly little things like that, right? Future tasks. I got a new steering wheel for the boat. I want to put that on there. Staysail halyard. I have a feeder rope, but the feeder rope is stuck in the pulley because the feeder rope was too small and it jumped the sheave. Mood lighting installs. I did a bunch of addressable RGB LED light strips, and I want to put the mood lighting on the boat.
Wow.
Bow chicka bow wow. Turnbuckle retaining wires. It's just a peace of mind kind of thing. Stupid easy to do. Just one of those things. You just get around to it. Water
Now, are
system.
you putting RGB in everything?
Yes, I am.
Oh yeah.
Everything's getting RGB except for the navigation lights. I don't want to piss off the Coast Guard.
That makes sense.
The whole water system is getting rebuilt, and in fact, it's halfway done. So I'll be able to drop this off this list soon. I need to do zinc testing. So there's this thing that happens called galvanic corrosion, and it slowly eats the metal away on the boat because you have current passing through the water, the path of least resistance. And in some cases, the path of least resistance isn't the wire, it's actually the water. But when it enters and exits the metal bits that it jumps through to do that, it corrodes those. It's called galvanic corrosion. And so you install zincs, and it makes sacrificial zincs because zincs are, appetizing to galvanic
Sacrificial
corrosion.
anode.
Yes, sacrificial anode, that's right. But if I'm going to take the time to install zincs, I better make sure the bonding is hooked up so that they actually work. So there's a card entry here for bonding. Lazy jacks are a special design of rigging that allows the sails to come down for single handers and not spill over the side of the boat. Convenience kind of thing. Tune the mizzen and tune the main. That just means making sure all the standing rigging, that's the wires that hold the stick up, making sure they're all the right tension and they're all pulling in the right direction at the right amount. New sound dampening for the engine bay, upgraded propane system, the SSB radio. There's an actual item here for the SSB radio because whereas I have the radio and I have the tuner and I've confirmed it works, I need to properly install it in the boat. Bimini, Dodger, stack packs, chalk blocks for the dinghy so I can bring it up and put it on the deck where it's secured. Hawser pipe throughs. My boat has bulwark walls on it, so it's not just a deck that spills off to the ocean. They actually have little walls that stick up. And hawser pipes are the holes in that allow the water to go out. So I got to get some of those because they're gone. I have a card about the mizzen staysail and how to rig it. Because I have a mizzen staysail. It's on the boat, but there's no rigging for it. So I have a card here just about how to rig one. So this card introduces the notion that I have to add all the turning blocks and all the hardware to make that actually happen. So there's a lot of stuff actually contained within that one card, right? And eventually when this becomes an action item that I'm actually working on as opposed to a future task, I'll break it down into its individual actionable items. I got some loose wires over the bed. Cockpit floor hatch needs a new hinge. Hatch rings on the floor panels in the main salon area. Replace wiring whole boat. Well, I've done 50-60% of it. Tricolor for the mast. Steaming light doesn't work. Headlight under the pulpit. It's installed. The wires are stretched. I just need to put a relay on it. Staysail, get it rigged. Shower pump is the sump is non-functional for my shower, so I want to be able to take showers on the boat. So I better fix the sump. So this list gives you an idea of what I'm working on the boat, and hopefully the idea is that hopefully as I make progress on these things, it's possible for me to create YouTube video content of these things where it seems like it might be interesting. I have a Trello board just for video and streaming. This what we're doing right now. And this is me saying, these are the things I want to stream to you guys. These are the things I want to make videos of. So I want to stream how to do special sailing knots, electrical work, sailing theory. Right now I'm actually streaming about how I make plans to do these things. YouTube content that's ready. I have a lot of video content. I just got to edit it. Or I have the parts sitting there. They're ready to install. I just got to run a camera. So the heat exchanger, that's been done for a long time. I just got to edit the video. The haft cabinet rewire has been done for a long time. Just got to edit the video. The NAC 3 is sitting there ready to be installed. So forth and so on. And then future YouTube content. Anytime I go on trips, anytime I look at other people's boats, the water maker right here. Somebody was asking, what are we going to do about the water maker? Well, I have every intention of building a video. It's here on a list. See, there's my proof. It's right there. And then I have the last list that I was going to point out. And this one's really important and kind of meta. I have a list of all the manuals organized by the type of device that they are. And these are all digital copies of all manuals for my boat. Now, I have the physical copies of these things on my boat.
That's awesome.
But every single component on my boat is identified here. And the color represents me saying there's stuff to be done, there's stuff to know, there's missing data. So anything in green, I know exactly what it's about, it's installed on the boat, and it's ready to go. Anything in yellow, there's some data points missing that I want to find. Anything in red, I'm missing something, or there's a bad configuration or something that needs to happen on it. So house equipment and manuals, the refrigerator, the LP controller, the water heater, the grill, the head, the toilet, the water pump, the macerator, the shower, the stereo, and the range. So I was telling you that my shower sump doesn't work. Well, the shower sump's on the boat, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should go work on that shower sump tomorrow. Well, this Trello board allows me to do that without first going to the boat and answering the question, what the hell kind of thing is it? I can just come in here and I have a link to the direct replacement components inside that device. So this is the part that's broken in my shower sump right now, right? And I know I added some information where it's at, how it's controlled. You'll notice there's actually nothing here about replacing the whole assembly, just the part that's broken, right? And that's why this is labeled in yellow, is because I feel like there's a pump in there, there's a special housing, there's some hoses, there's some wiring, right? So there's stuff to know about that device. Meanwhile, the macerator, the boat has a macerator, but when you look at the card, it doesn't tell you anything, right? I have a part number, and apparently when I looked this part number up, I couldn't find a manual for it. So this particular item is labeled in red because obviously there's a deficit here. But let's go look at something else. The Raycor 500 fuel filter. If I was to leave
Tom
the boat,
asked a question.
Yeah, go ahead,
in
buddy.
Chat.
Oh, Tom asked a question. Have you got an automatic heading locker? Define heading locker. The boat has an autopilot.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes, it has. Yes, it currently uses a Navman G Pilot 3100, and it has an Octopus 1212 hydraulic ram tied to the quadrant on the rudder, which allows the boat to autopilot. So the Navman understands what heading you want to go on. It understands where the rudder is located in space and how many degrees off you are, and it will steer the boat for you. The NAC 3, which is the new autopilot that I have that I just need to install, can use the same exact Octopus 1212 hydraulic ram, but it allows it to be tied to the network and not only do course to steer corrections, but do XTE corrections. And XTE corrections, so a funny thing happens when you're doing course to steer. And I'm going to switch to my face so I can talk with my hands. So you have a point in space you're going to, right? And your boat is sailing to that point in space, right? If your boat's pointed over here, the autopilot's going to turn the boat until it's pointed at the point in space, right? But it does this with the Navman by saying, at the time that you set me, this destination was a heading of 160 degrees from the boat. Ergo, I'm going to go on a heading of 160 degrees to get there, right? I'm there. The problem is that's not how the real world works. The real world, you have a destination and your boat's sailing to it, but the direction your boat is pointed is not necessarily the direction your boat is headed, because there could be a cross current. And so what happens is you get a cross current, the boat is pointed at the heading, but the cross current's pushing it, and even though you're heading in the same direction, you'll notice my hand never rotated, you end up here, but your destination was here. And so that's called XTE, which is the correction to steer, right? I don't know why there's an E on it. Error. Whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. So the NAC 3 allows the computers to say, yeah, you're supposed to steer on a heading of 180 degrees, but the waypoint you're supposed to be going to has progressively gotten farther away from 180 degrees. So here's your new XTE heading so that you can actually get to that destination. And what's really neat about that is if you have a point in space, your boat will sail in a spiral kind of thing around it, but it's constantly pointing to that point in space because the computers are able to track that. So my boat has an older autopilot on it that I've already bought new hardware for. I just haven't put it on yet.
Yeah, isn't that one going to be voice controlled system?
Yes, it is. And there's another Trello board just for the voice control system, but I'm not going to share it at this time because I have a couple lawyer friends who have insisted that I monetize the voice control system. So we'll see how that goes. But I have a card here. You see Autopilot NAC 3. So if I open that guy up, it says NAC 3, but here's the PDFs for the system that I currently have. Right? So my Autopilot's now a NAC 3, and I need to update this card with the NAC 3 hardware data, but I have the books here for my Autopilot that is currently installed. So the boat has an Autopilot, but technically it kind of has two right now because one's installed and the other one's getting installed. So I have this very special dashboard here that is strictly about the manuals for Tiamo. And so between all of these boards, I have a board that's the Midwest drawer, right? That's what I call the main board. It's just everything, And as I make progress on a certain item enough, I'll move it to the action board, or I'll move a single card. Like I'm not going to move this whole thing on the single sideband because this is a lot of manuals, right? Some of these cards will go to the manual board. Some of them will go to the action board. Some of them will, stay here on this board if they need to. But I use all of these boards in conjunction with one another, all these lists in one another, in order to create meaningful content for you guys here on YouTube. And not only that, meaningful progression on this dream that I'm trying to build for myself. The reason I've left Michigan and came to California is to chase this idea of sailing around the world. And these boards very specifically are designed to enable me to not only make progress, but to reward myself for progress so that I continue to make progress on the things that I got going on when it comes to Tiamo and Tipsy Raven Sailing. So we're going to switch back to this guy. I'm going to get a drink because I've been talking for 40 minutes. What you got, Zozo?
You have, hey, I got 2 hours. What can I do in that amount of time?
Yes.
You have a board to go, hey, okay, I could do this project.
Yep. So actually, before we walk away from Trello, let's actually talk about that right quick. All right, let's go home. And I want to build a board. I'm going to click a board. I'm going to create a board. And this guy is going to be live stream demo board. Right? So I have a live stream demo board. I have a brand new board. Got a super pretty mountain picture in the background. You can even change that if you wanted to. This is currently attached to my team. So if you join my team, I can invite you to my boards and I can actually assign cards to you. Right? So we're going to add a list. This is list 1. This is list 2, right? You can add lists just that fast. We want to add a card. Action A, action B, action C, and then on list 2, data 1, data 2, data 3, right? So we can build cards very rapidly here. But let's go ahead and open this guy up, right? So I just copied the link from the URL. I'm going to click the card. I'm going to hit paste. It automatically creates, you see this? Zozo, this is what you were asking about, making cards available in other.
It's going to take about, a minute.
Yeah, YouTube delays. Yeah, sure. So it's making, because I linked to another Trello thing, it's doing a Trello attachment. But if I go to Amazon and I go back to my board and I paste it, it pastes a link. So Trello, when you link to Trello things, it has special
Okay.
Trello attachments. But when you just link to whatever
Yeah, I
else,
see the Trello attachment.
we can add a description, stuff and things. Carl! Right? We can change the title. Right? We can come down here and make
Need to
comments.
watch that again.
So we can add comments to this guy. But we got a lot of stuff on the side that we can do. We can click members. And I just assigned this card to me. I'm the only member on my boards because I'm the only person working on this stuff right now. Labels, I can do color highlighting. So I just put a green bar on this guy. Checklists. I'm going to actually
Use
open
it to send an invite because I have a Trello.
Yeah.
I just made it, like 2 weeks ago and haven't touched it.
I'll tell you what. It's now in the live chat on Discord. So if you guys click that, you'll be board members of my Trello board that I'm making here. So you guys can see how that comes together. So if anybody jumps in here, I'll show you how that works. So we're going to go to this data 1 card and we're going to click it. We're going to add a checklist to it. And the checklist is going to be random checklist. I'm not doing anything special, but do thing A, do thing B, do thing C, right? So there's 3 items.
Oh, yeah, that's instant.
Yeah, and if you do thing A, you check it off. If you do thing B, you check it off. And it'll show you 2 of 3 actionables on this item are now done. And when you do the last thing, it turns it green. It puts a big checkbox on it. This shit's done, yo. Which is great. Green means good. Green means go. So it's a very rewarding structure for that. You can add due dates. That I want to do this particular thing by such and such a day. So it's going to, and in this case, I set it to today. And it knows that there's no time left today. So it turns it red. It's like, yo, you should have got this done already. Well, it is done. So I'm going to check that due date. No, oh, okay, you're done. So it's like, yeah, you totally got it done.
Green.
It turns it green. You can, when you set due dates, you can set reminders, right? Or you can set start to stop dates, right? And that gets really interesting because if this was due today and this guy is due a couple of days from now, right? And this other guy has a start date of the 10th and then an end date of the 13th. Oops, wait, come back. The 13th, right? I start working on this on the 10th, but I'm finished working on it on the 13th, right? So now you can see here, this due date, I hit that. This one's not yet, right? I can finish it early if I wanted to, but if it's not done, it's okay. It's, it's a couple days out. And this guy runs from date to date. And that's really cool because then you can change the way you view it. You come up here to board and you can say, show me the timeline. Now, granted, you start getting into some of the paid features to do that stuff, but that's okay. If you use this thing as much as I do, you end up paying for a Trello membership. Oh, hey, I see that Tom Drury, I assume TD, that's you, and it looks like Zozo's here. So now that we got 3 people, let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So I'm going to assign data 1 to myself, and I'm going to assign data 2 to actually, I'm going to make that Zozo's problem, but I'm going to go ahead and remove myself, right? And data 3, I'm going to go ahead and put TD on there, So now you can see who's taking care of that particular component. So you can start organizing team effort with the system. And remember, this is the free version of Trello. I'm showing you guys what's free. You can go sign up for this and use this instantly. And so if you got a team of guys that are working on something, right? Maybe we're hanging out with Zozo and we're building a super collaborative, awesome Minecraft base. And one guy's handling the smelters, one guy's handling the ME, one guy's handling the fucking architecture of the building we're putting it in. Well, we could, this is what I'm building. These are screenshots. These are pictures. This is the stuff. This is the thing, right? And once I give you access to that, you're absolutely right. You can come in there and you can start leaving comments on it. You can be really snarky about it, like Zozo was. And maybe it's not his problem. Maybe
it's your problem.
Maybe it's Oh, do you want to sign yourself from it? So I went ahead and took that from him, and I'm going to share that effort with TD or something, whatever it takes, right? And so by using all these features, you can actually get extremely granular about making sure that certain things happen in certain orders based on the availability or dependencies of other things, right? We can go to data 2, right? Data 2. Okay, so we're going to go to data 1. We're going to create a copy of the link, the URL, right? And we're going to go to data 2, and we're going to write a comment dependent on and link, and I'm going to hit save. And so it says dependent on, and it's a link to data 1. So we click that guy, and it's going to bring up data 1, right? It's automatically going to switch right to it. So anytime you're linking Trello to Trello, it's really, really smooth. And you can do that across boards, not just within the board itself. Let's see what other kind of stuff we got. We can do a cover image. So we can make the cards really ornate, right? This can be a picture you take as opposed to a picture I just select from the library that's available to me.
How much space do you get with the free account?
I haven't encountered it yet, and I have attached a lot of things to my boards. I would guess that I have over 1 gigabyte of graphical manuals for all the different things across all of the things that I'm doing. Because remember, I'm just presenting Tiamo. But the fact of the matter is, I have a board about circumnavigation, a board for my house in Michigan, a board for my Gertie. I made a list how to move to Los Angeles. Here's my other boat in Michigan, a board about that, a board about how to tear it down and put it back together again. This is a board about Raven's Nest. Now there's 2 of them because one is a public board and one's a private board. I have another board that's just projects for the Nest. So the first one talks about, this is the washing machine. This is the water heater. This is, what kind of breakers the main fuse panel uses, right? I write everything down. If anybody's got to step into my shoes and say, fuck, I got to be Dan for a day, all they need is access to my Trello boards. That's all you need.
For me, what I've been using is Notepad++ for that.
Yeah, but Notepad++ is dependent on your computer.
Exactly.
You lose your computer, you lose everything. Trello, it's on the cloud, baby. Once you put it on the internet, that shit don't get lost.
I have been using OneNote for D&D, so I've been moving to something, but Trello seems better for personal use.
Oh, I wouldn't hesitate to use Trello for D&D. I would not hesitate for a second to do that, and there's a lot of reasons why. Just we're gonna add one more card just so I can open this guy up. We can take actions with our cards. We can move, copy, make templates out of them. We can put watches on them. So anytime the card itself changes, I get a notification that it changed. Really handy for team environments, definitely for managing. Archiving archiving means it just disappears from view. It just boop on. It's still there. You just can't see it unless you click on archive. And then share, of course, you can say, hey, I got you this thing I want you to work on. So it gives you a link, or you can embed it or whatever, right? Or you can just literally send an email address. Now, what's really cool about that is if you send the email address and they respond to it, their email response actually goes straight into the card. It doesn't get lost in somebody's inbox. And then there's something called power-ups. Okay. Now, I have a huge amount of points for Trello because I've been using it for a long time. There are so many power-ups because there's a giant community that uses this thing, and there's some really smart people that use Trello just to design Trello features. And so there's some really neat stuff out there. Power-ups are they can be funny, they can be utilitarian, they can be management oriented, development oriented, project management oriented. It goes all over the place. Some of them are free, some of them are not. Some of them require a gold membership with Trello. It's a crapshoot. And is there? Oh, Butler is new. I have no idea what this does. We're gonna click it. I have no idea what this is doing. I have no idea. I'm gonna play with that before I talk about it because I'm not entirely sure what that's doing.
I'm waiting for the stream to catch up so I can see what it says.
Oh my God, they've added automation to Trello.
Oh God.
So what do you want to bet we can point Ni-Fi at this, Adam?
Oh, we've already done that.
Of course you have. Well, shit. Do you know if the API point is open to free users?
Yeah, it is.
Good. Well,
So you can do boards, lists, cards on it, and move them around.
through the API.
My boy Alex made the cards dance as a proof of concept, so it rotates in circles through.
No.
It's almost like an animation, so he's got like these little ASCII art guys that'll wink at you and then disappear.
What?
Just proof of concept.
Silly. I love it. Well, apparently Trello has proper automation now. How about that? So yeah, there's a lot of really neat things you can do with Trello.
But the real question is, are the automation tools Turing complete?
That'd be an Adam question.
I have no idea.
I definitely don't. I didn't even know it had. I didn't even know it had an API interface. To be perfectly honest with you, Adam's like sitting over here going, "Wow, this fucking dude's an amateur when it comes to Trello."
Not at all.
But yeah, so the idea is that I use.
Rolling in the corner.
I know. So the idea is I use Trello to keep my shit organized, and the point is you can too. It's really fucking straightforward, really. And if it helps you guys get your projects done or get your projects kicked off or organized so that you can actually accomplish the damn thing, I am happy to do this 10,000 more goddamn times to make sure that happens for you. Because your success, as far as I'm concerned, is my success. I totally give myself the win if I had even the tiniest involvement of you getting accomplishments done. I helped him do that.
I
I
feel
feel
the
pretty
same
fucking
way.
good about that. You know,
Hell yeah.
I will happily count that as a win, and a win is a win is a win, and any day with a win is a good fucking day. So,
Oh yeah.
and some days, just one goddamn win would make the difference, right? So, take every win you can. But if you use something like this, now I'm not saying you have to use Trello the same way I do, because that'd just be fucking silly. Because I am pretty silly about my Trello. I over document the hell out of everything. Despite what you might think otherwise, Adam, I honestly do document my work.
No,
You're better than me.
When I have the
I don't
time,
want you to ever see my OneNote now.
when
My
I
OneNote is worse.
when I take the time to actually document, or I'm given the time to document, my documentation is actually quite robust. Thank you kindly. If I'm given 1 week to build and deploy, my documentation might be a little thin.
Just one line comment. Good luck.
Good luck. So yeah, I just wanted to share this, guys, so you could see it and maybe implement it in your own things that you're doing. Trello is super awesome. It's free. That's the big one. It's free. And if you're using Trello and you're like, hey, Dan, is there a better way to do this? There might be. There very well might be. There's other tools out there that are really freaking awesome, like Jira. Atlassian's Jira is an incredible tool when it comes to project management and Kanban boards and Scrum boards and all those other types of boards. But you pay a lot of money for it. A lot of corporations use it. I don't think they have a free environment for people anyways. But Trello is that free one out there. And they do have a phone app. It works great. I have it installed on my phone. It does everything you just saw, but obviously the options are a little bit more buried because you only have so much real estate on a cell phone screen. But it works just great with it. So, you could totally build your shopping lists on Trello and then grab your phone and go grocery shopping and you knock it off the list as you're walking down the aisles. It totally worked for that. And then if you want to copy the checklist from one card to the next card and modify it slightly because you still have a half a gallon of milk left, well, you totally do that too. A lot of my life So my biggest secret is this. I am a wonderfully lazy man. I don't like to work hard if I don't have to. And if I already did something, I ain't going to do it again because that's just a silly waste of my time. I had the hardest time playing video games.
Those are the best engineers, are the lazy ones.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I've gotten as far in my life as I have, because I have found all the ways in which I can be the laziest possible man that I can possibly be while still accomplishing great things. And Trello allows me to be pretty goddamn lazy because I front load a lot of work into Trello and I cruise through my day. I tinker on stuff. I make progress. I can go on Facebook any given day of the week and say I did this, and this today, and that was just today. You know, anytime I'm feeling pretty down, you'll see me post a Facebook page.
What did you do 3 days ago? Well, I did this, and this.
Yeah. And if anybody's like, yeah, exactly. Like, well, what about? Well, I actually have notes about that. It's not like I'm writing a diary. It writes itself. You know, So yeah, so there's Trello for you guys. I hope that it helps as much as it can, and I actually have a request to help somebody build their first Trello board. Now we're not going to do that here on the air because they want their privacy, but I do have the request to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream shy tonight. It's been about an hour, so I appreciate you guys sitting and hanging out for an hour with me. But I'm going to go give them a hand getting their lists under control. Not tonight. Like I said, tonight I'm actually going to help a friend of mine get their own list started in Trello. So that's the next thing on my list tonight. I sincerely hope that you're all lining up on a fantastic weekend. I am looking forward very much to the weekend myself. It's been a hell of a week. And explicitly speaking, I'm still not done at work, as Adam well knows. I got a couple things I have to punch back in to do myself. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream tonight at an hour deep. I sincerely hope that you all have a fantastic evening and a great weekend. I will be live again this weekend. I'm not sure if it'll be Saturday or Sunday at this point. I'm not really sure when I'll get to the boat, but I am very much looking forward to going out to the boat and doing a stream live from the boat and talking about the various things that are getting done and the things that are coming up. So look for that this weekend. Probably Sunday. Probably Sunday if I had to guess. Until then, y'all have a good night now.
I'll take a breath, I'm not gonna lose. This is what I came here to do. I walk that wire and I take that step. Won't look down, got no regrets. Won't look down, got no regrets. I was made for this.
I want to thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with me tonight. Another nice 1 hour stream to work with. A couple new follows in the last couple of days. Sadly, Streamlabs is not doing a great job of telling me who those folks are. But we recently went past 140 followers, and I just wanted to say thank you to each one of you that's helping making that happen. So, Tamale Cat, I saw you got a follow from you. Nice little donation from Bad Caramel yesterday. And then subscriptions from Waukesha Pilot, River Dolphi, Adam Gort, Pyro Giffen, Keystone Cole, and P-Boss in the last few days. Thank you guys so much for supporting Tipsy Raven Sailing.
I'm a soul on a wire, that's where I feel alive. Open up the skies. I'm a soul on a wire.
it can't be done.